sir, I welcome you on behalf of UGC, HRDC Center at Gujarat University, and on behalf of Indian Institute of Teacher Education, as we are coordinating this refresher course in teacher education. And we are very thankful that you have accepted our invitation to address all the teacher educators who have joined this refresher course in teacher education. And I welcome you again, sir. And now the stage is open for you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm very happy to share my experience with all of you. This is a good opportunity to share something on pedagogy, particularly keeping in view the new education policy 2020. All of us know that the new education policy, the national education policy, has been released on 29th July 2020. Now, lot of workshop, webinar being organized to disseminate the policy. From that point of view, what is the implication of this policy for teaching learning process and particularly the pedagogy? You know, in policy, new structure has been suggested for school education and also for college and university education. You'll find a lot of change. When you are talking about the policy, I think this is the third policy. The first policy was formulated in the year 1968. Then in 86, the second policy. Then this is the third policy after 34 years in 2020. And this policy has a lot of expectation. We expect a lot, and it is being said that this policy will transform the whole country. And this policy can take our country to a new height. And from that perspective, we should understand what is this policy, what is your role, and what is the pedagogical implication for all of us, because we all are teacher educators. And as a teacher educator, what is your role, what is your responsibility, and how we are going to contribute significantly in the implementation of this policy. When you're talking of the pedagogy, it is all of us know that how we are going to teach, how we are going to transact our curriculum. It is something related to that. And what is the practice now, how it is being transacted, how curriculum is being transacted, how we transact our lesson. Mostly we deliver lecture, we try to transact what is there in the textbook, and in school also same things happening. The teachers, they also try to transact what is there in their curriculum. But the question is it our role just to transact what is there in the textbook, what is there in the syllabus to our students, or it is something more than that? Definitely, all of us know it is something more than that. But it is not happening. So as a result of this, there is a lot of competition in our society, how our students, how our children will secure good mark in exam so that they can get a seat in college or they can be well placed. So that is the main focus. But ultimately what we are gaining, ultimately if you see what is the reality, lot of unemployment, lot of crime in our society, a lot of problem we are facing. And it is said that India is going to the youngest country in the world. And when you say India is going to be the youngest country in the world, then we should take advantage of this demographic dividend. And to take advantage of this demographic dividend, we should provide the right type of education to our children, which is not limited to textbooks only. We should go beyond textbook. We should go beyond classroom. We should go beyond curriculum, and we should do something so that we can prepare good human being. We can prepare good citizen, so that we can take the advantage of this demographic dividend. That is why in this policy, lot of recommendation you'll find with regard to the structure, with regard to the basic guidelines, and many things. When we are talking of this policy, you'll find it is based on holistic approach. We say this policy is holistic in nature. We say this is, you find multilingualism, lot of focus is on multilingualism, and lot of flexibility, And if all these are there, then how we are going to achieve this? And it is expected that the creative potential of every individual should develop. When we say creative potential of every individual, that means we have to provide a very conducive learning environment to every individual. Then how can we provide a very conducive learning environment to every individual? That is the concern. If you see the policy, then there is a great, this policy demands that should be this curricular reform. Policy demands the pedagogical reform. Policy demands assessment reform or examination reform. So many things are expected. So how we are going to do this? How we are going to implement this in our institution, in our classroom, and how we are going to change our mindset first? Because we as teacher, educator, as teacher, what we feel, our job is just to transact what is there in the curriculum, what is there in the syllabus. But now we are in 21st century. We are preparing our children for 21st century, and keeping in view the need and requirement of 21st century, we have to provide the right type of education. What is expected in 21st century? In 21st century, we expect our children to develop their critical thinking. We expect our children to develop their problem solving ability. We expect they should develop their communication skill. We expect they should be very innovative. They should create something, they should invent something, they should discover something, and they should collaborate with others, they should share their experiences with others, they should be good citizen of this country. If this is our vision, then how we are going to achieve this? And for this, we need a curricular reform. And when you say curricular reform, you will find in this 5+2+2+3 structure, we are going to have this foundation program, that foundation stage, that is 5 year of foundational stage. And in the foundational stage, you will find the 3 years of preschool and class 1 and 2. This is one stage. This is going to be one stage, and this is the most important stage. And here focus is on the development of foundational literacy and numeracy. And this foundational learning is most important because maximum brain development takes place during this period. And how we are going to address this? What will be the approach? What will be our approach? And we can address this by creating a very conducive learning environment for our small children, for the kids. But what is happening actually? We are trying to extend class 1 to preschool, and we are trying to teach them the content, what is expected for class 1 students. So ultimately, we are not addressing their needs, we are not addressing their requirements, we are not helping them in their socio-emotional development. We all the time we are focusing on cognitive development. And what we are doing, that is actually contributing nothing, and that is creating problem for our children. This ultimately we are promoting rote learning. So that is why you'll find more the focus we are going to have on foundational literacy and numeracy mission, and we are going to highlight the other issues along with the cognitive, the ethical issues, the social issues, the emotional issues, which will really bring about a change, which will really help in holistic development of our children. Similarly, when we are going to the other stage, now as per the policy, we are going to introduce vocational education from class 6. You know the basic education because you have studied Gandhian thought, Gandhian philosophy. And in basic education, our focus was on also craft, but we could not implement that. So now we are going to implement this from class 6. From class 6 onwards, our children will be exposed to vocational education. And after completion of school education, at least they come out with one vocational skills. They will have mastery over at least one vocational skills. That means they will be exposed to world of work, and they will they develop a very positive attitude towards this world of work, to different vocation, to different skills, and they will realize the importance of dignity of labor. From the lower stage, from the early stage, we are going to introduce just to give them this pre-vocational exposure so that their mindset will change. They will not that means they will not feel this is something inferior, this is something superior. Every work is important. And that dignity of labor will be promoted, scientific temper will be promoted, and ultimately they can choose a vocation of their choice, keeping in view their aptitude, their interest. Then when our children will go to secondary stage, in this policy you will find talking about multidisciplinary approach. That there will be no hard separation, there will be no watertight compartment, and everything will be integrated. Again and again, policies highlighting that it is something holistic. Everything is integrated. And when everything is integrated, now again it is also demanding a different type of pedagogy, multidisciplinary approach, experiential learning. If you see the policy, then you will find it is putting a lot of emphasis on experiential learning, and how this experiential learning is going to help. Because this experiential learning will, that means through this experiential learning, our children will be exposed to different situations. Not they will sit to in a particular place, not they will be confined to their classrooms only. They will be exposed to different situations, real life situations. Let them experience, let them learn, let them not only learn a particular subject, let them learn what is the interrelationship among the subjects. What is the interrelationship between science and mathematics, between science and social science and language, and how it is integrated with their day-to-day life. That is most important, that interdisciplinary approach we have to develop. And this watertight compartment will not be there. If this watertight compartment will not be there, then our focus will be shifted. Now, our focus is being shifted from teaching to learning. We all the time we say there is a paradigm shift in learning, or we are focusing more and more on learning. And when we are focusing more on learning, and when we are focusing this multidisciplinary approach, and there will be no hard separation. There's curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular. This is social science, this is science, this is commerce, and there will be, that means everything will be integrated, and many new subject areas will emerge in this 21st century. Many things are happening. Artificial intelligence is going to play a very significant role. Coding, computing, so many things are there. So from that point of view, we have to see education from a different perspective. It is not textbook, it is not the syllabus what we are going to complete. It is not limited to the examination, 3 hours examination what we are going to conduct to assess the performance of our students. It demands a lot of change in our mindset. It demands a lot of change in our attitude towards this profession, because it is our mindset that is going to bring about a change, nothing else, because it doesn't require any financial involvement. The question is how we are going to deliver, whether we are going to deliver through lecture or we are going to deliver by conducting different activities, or we are taking the students out of the classroom, or we are giving them some day-to-day exposure, or we are relating our class, that means experience with their experience and with what is happening inside the society, and establishing a good link between what is happening outside and what is happening inside the classroom. So that means it demands a pedagogical reform. This policy demands a reform in the process of assessment. And now this assessment is not something isolated, not separate from teaching learning. Assessment is something, is an integral part of teaching learning. It is integrated with teaching learning. So that is that. From that perspective, if you see, you'll find a lot of change in our role, in our responsibility, and also the expectation of the society from the teacher educator. If you see the teacher education, that means the policy is giving a lot of focus on teacher education. Since we are teacher educator, and if we cannot prepare good teachers, then who will implement this policy? Policy is good. Every aspect, every chapter of policy is very good. But if it is not implemented, then it is of no value. So in order to implement this policy, what we have to do, we have to bring about change in our teacher education program, both pre-service as well as in-service. And when we are talking about this pre-service and in-service, that means in pre-service you'll find, as per the policy, more focus on this integrated program and more scholarship to the students who will be coming from low socio-economic background. And when the policy is highlighting on this integrated program, it's not that other programs will be closed down. Other programs also will continue as per policy till 2030. After that, it may continue. We cannot say anything. But those will complete 3-year program, they will go for 2-year B.Ed. Those will complete 4-year program, they will go for 1-year B.Ed. And those will complete after secondary, then this completing school education, they can join the 4-year integrated program. So that means this policy demands a pedagogical reform in teacher education program, not only in school education, in teacher education program, both in pre-service as well as in service. And keeping in view the vision, if you see the vision, what is your vision? Vision is to prepare our children for 21st century by connecting them to their root. Our children should understand our culture. Our children should understand our value system. Our children should understand our knowledge system, our tradition, everything. And they should also understand their language. because in this policy you'll find a lot of focus on multilingualism. India is a huge country full of tribal population with different dialects, and they are not getting the right type of education because of their mother tongue, because their mother tongue is something different from the state language. Textbooks are available in state language, regional language, and they are unable to comprehend, they are unable to cope with the other students. They are leaving school, drop out, so many things are there. And what research says, if they are taught in mother tongue, then they can comprehend, they can learn in a better way. That will help in their all-round development. If they learn, they'll be happy, they will participate in other activities. That is why policy has recommended that bilingual textbooks should be there. Everybody should learn through their mother tongue. The deprived children whose mother tongue is different, they should take advantage of this policy, because they will take advantage of this policy because they will be taught through their mother tongue. And for that also we have to prepare teacher. So our teacher, the students who will be joining teacher education institutions, they should develop that ability to address this multilingualism issue. They should learn more language, and they should be in a position to address this issue. This is one of the most important, because this policy is very inclusive in nature, and we are going to address the need of each and every learner. The learner whose mother tongue is not something different from the state language, he or she should get equal opportunity. And we are talking of equity, equality, and access. So all these things should happen. That is why you'll find that there will be change in teacher education program. Multilingualism is going to be integrated in our teacher education program, and we have to prepare teacher keeping in view the need of the society. Similarly, in this policy, you'll find a lot of change in assessment. That is most important, because if really we want change, if really we want pedagogical reform, then we have to bring about change in the process of assessment. Because if we go on asking the question what we are doing now, we are asking question, what type of question you ask in an exam, assess for 3 years, and our children may not have the skills and competency. If they can memorize, they can secure good mark in exam, and we'll do everything. If there is no change in examination system, then nothing will happen. Children will not bother, parents will not bother, nobody will bother, because there is no change in examination. That is why policy, you will see, this policy demands that there should be change in the process of assessment. And when we say there should be change in the process of assessment, policy has recommended 360-degree assessment. This is an integral part of pedagogy. When we're talking of pedagogy assessment is not something separate, not something isolated. Then this is an integral part, 360-degree assessment. For the first time, students will be involved in the process of assessment. When students will be involved, that means students along with teacher will decide the criteria how they are going to be assessed. Once they decide the criteria, then they can assess themselves. That is why policy has recommended that will be self-assessment, there will be peer assessment, there will be assessment by the teacher. And when we are talking of these peer assessment, self-assessment, teacher assessment, that means we are giving due importance to the learner. We are giving due importance to their need, their interest. And when they themselves will assess their performance, they can know their strength and they can know their weakness. Once they know their strength and their weakness, they can prepare accordingly. And that will be when we are talking of flexibility, we are giving them opportunity as per their choice, as per their requirement, as per their aptitude. And we are going to introduce so many subjects along with the vocational subjects. And when there will be lot of experience, that means exposure and they will get something as per their need, as per their requirement. Because now we are talking of multiple intelligence, but in our school system we are promoting logical and mathematical intelligence. Other aspects are neglected. And if a child is not having that logical mathematical knowledge, then we label the child as a dull. But that we should not do. Because child may be good in sports, child may be good in music, child may be good in other area. Because in 21st century, only this knowledge is not going to help. Logical, mathematical, other aspects are equally important. And policy has taken into cognizance all these areas, and that is really going to bring about the change in the entire system. That is why when we are talking about assessment, and when we say 360-degree assessment, that means it confirms the holistic development. That there will be holistic development. Earlier we are teaching, now we are talking about this. But so far the assessment is concerned, the same traditional way of assessment was going on. But once this policy is implemented, there will be change in the process of assessment. And there are three modes of assessment. We all are familiar with assessment of learning. What we do at the end. We are familiar with the assessment for learning. What we do in between to give feedback or remedial measure to our students. We call it formative assessment. First one is the summative assessment. But in this policy, you will find that assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. And assessment as learning is most important in this policy, because this assessment as learning is going to bring about change in the entire pedagogical process. When we say assessment as learning, that means assessment that is a continuous process, and our children will be assessed continuously. It may be self-assessment, it may be peer assessment, it may be teacher assessment. Continuously there will be assessment. Continuously our children will get support from peers, from teachers. So that means the classroom process is going to be very vibrant. And when the classroom process will be vibrant, our students will enjoy learning. And it will bring about a significant change in entire teaching learning process. And in policy, you'll find when you will see the pedagogical aspect, it is not only experiential learning policy is talking about. Experiential learning will be there. There will be a lot of exposure and everything they will get. But along with this experiential learning in this policy, you will find most important thing, art integrated learning. You will find sports integrated learning. You will find storytelling based learning. You will find ICT integrated learning. So all these the policy has recommended. When we are talking of pedagogy, you will see all these. That means art integrated learning, that means the learning will be very joyful for our children. And it will also, they will learn in a joyful manner, and also it will promote our art and culture. It will promote art, music, drama, all other things what is neglected. That is, India is a rich country and we have very rich cultural heritage that will be promoted. Along with that, our learning will be joyful. Students will learn in a better way. Sports integrated learning. Sports will take a very significant place. Physical fitness, well-being, that is also equally important. And storytelling is, our Indian pedagogy, our storytelling, it is going to play a very significant role. Again, it will be also reflected in our system, school system, ultimately in teacher education program. And ICT, which has already come in a very big way, that is also going to be integrated. And there will be bagless day. You see how our children, we should load up all the time. We're talking of load up school bag. And there will be some days, there will be bagless days. They will visit different places. They will have some internship with the local, the carpenter, it may be gardener, keeping in view the local vocation. That means they will enjoy, they will experience what is happening in the society. And that link, what is missing between the classroom and society, that will be re-established. And it will it will have a very significant impact. So you see what is expected? A complete pedagogical reform. It may be experiential learning, it may be art integrated learning, it may be story based learning, and ultimately it demands there should be 360-degree assessment. It should be transparent, and everybody should be involved in the process, including the parents, and that will be that will bring about a significant change, because all the stakeholders will be involved in this teaching learning process. It is not only the responsibility of teacher now. That means whole community, that will be in the policy will find a lot of focus on community involvement. And the textbooks will find the textbook that will be local flavor. Local flavor, that means the local culture, local tradition, and local that geography, local history, local geography, and their language, because we are talking about multilingual. Everything will be reflected. So from that perspective, you see, that means this policy is going to cater to the need of each and every learner, those who are deprived, those who are coming from low socioeconomic status, and also for Divyang, the children with special needs. And the policy has recommended that that will be all the materials will be available in sign language. This is something great. And that means all categories of learner, and the first time for the gifted children, because those who are gifted, they are also not getting opportunity, and for them also policy has recommended. So that you see what is the pedagogical implication when you are going to take care of the gifted children, when you are going to take care of the Divyang children, when you are going to take care of the children who are coming from very low socioeconomic status. So that means we have to come out with our own pedagogy. And ultimately policy says autonomy to the teachers. Teacher can introduce his own pedagogy. That means that autonomy is there. So ultimately we have to trust our teachers. We have to have faith on our teachers. And we have to give importance to our teachers. We have to recognize the service of the teacher. So, and that from that point of view, we have to bring about change in our teacher education program. Ultimately, everything depends upon what type of teacher education program we are going to conduct for our teachers, and what type of in-service teacher education program we are going to conduct for the teachers who are already in the job, keeping in view the new policy. Because in this policy, you see, all the time we all know there is a paradigm shift in learning. Historically, if you see, there is a paradigm shift in learning. It is not something new. In National Curriculum Framework 2005 also, we have recommended the same thing. Because it is all this based on this constructivist learning approach. And before 1950, if you see from historical point of view, that means we were doing something with our students, keeping in view the findings of the research conducted on animals. Response strengthening, more drill, more practice, better learning. Then in 60s, 70s, 80s, our impression was that our children do not know anything. Their mind is just like a blank slate, tabula rasa. 60s, 70s, 80s. That is why we wanted to provide all sort of information to our students. Curriculum was overloaded, and ultimately students were trying to learn everything by heart. That rote learning was promoted. But in 80s, 90s, the definition of learning changed. It is not knowledge acquisition. Mind is not blank slate. It is knowledge construction. And learner has to construct his or her own knowledge. That is why in 80s, 90s, there is a paradigm shift in learning. And this National Curriculum Framework 2005 was developed keeping in view this paradigm shift. Is based on constructivist approach. But this could not be implemented properly. We have developed our textbooks. We have suggested many projects, many assignment, but these projects, other activities are not being conducted inside the classroom. Only content, what is there in the textbook, that is transacted, and all students are appearing the exam, the traditional exam, what is going on now, and 3 hours exam, they are securing good mark, 100 out of 100, 99%, 95%. But when we conduct some competency based test, and there is a wide gap. You all know that NCERT conducted this National Achievement Survey in the year 2017. And if you see the performance of students in this competency based test, in class 3 it is around 60%. Class 5 it is less than 60, around 50. And class 8 also it is like that. And class 10 also we conducted assessment test. There also the performance like that. When they are going to higher stage, the performance level is decreasing. But in board exam, our children are securing 100, 99, 95, 98, like this. And parents are very unhappy if it is 80%. You see, the thing is that what type of change has taken place in our mindset? What is our expectation? What is the expectation of parents? So now we have forgotten everything, how our children will secure good mark. And we have neglected all other potentialities. All the time we follow one model, that is the deficit model. We try to find out what our children do not know, what they cannot do. That is your focus. Their child is poor in math, poor in other subjects, but we don't try to find out what they can do. What is their strength? We don't apply the strength model. We apply deficit model in our teacher training institution, in our schools. Deficit model, what our children cannot do, what they do not know, but what they can do, what potentially they have, what potentiality they have, we don't bother about that. But in this policy, you see from pedagogical point of view, though it was already there, but since policy has highlighted this, and in a lot of emphasis has given to this, and along with a change in the process of assessment. So definitely it will bring about a change. We are talking about this, but there was no change in the process of assessment. Now we are talking of holistic progress card, and there will be no mark, no grade. Holistic progress card. We can mention everything in a qualitative way. There will be no comparison. We are comparing our children. When we compare one child with other child, we do not know how it is going to affect the self-esteem of the child. And that we should understand as teacher educator, we should understand, and with that right type of training we should provide to the teachers. There should not be competition, there should be cooperation. We are living in a democratic country, and for the effective functioning of democracy, the democratic values should develop. The fellow feeling, cooperation, sharing, that should develop inside the classroom. There should be less competition, more cooperation, more collaboration, more sharing. And research says if there is more sharing, more social interaction, then there is better learning. If this is the research finding, that if there is more collaboration, more sharing, then why will not implement in our classroom? We all know if there will be experiential learning, our children will learn in a better way. But still, we are transacting curriculum in such a way, children are not getting any experience. Just we feel our job is to transact what is there in the textbook. So that is why this policy demands a pedagogical reform inside the classroom. We as a teacher educator, as a teacher, we can implement this in our classroom. It doesn't require any financial involvement. You see, that policy demands many things. But when we talk about the pedagogical reform, that we can implement with less financial involvement. This is a question of mindset, how I'm asking question, and how I'm conducting my class, how I am interacting with my students, how I am conducting different activities in my school, and how we all will reorganize our teacher education program. That is a big concern, because in policy, what has been recommended, if it is not implemented, then it is not going to bring about any change. So if really we want change, then we have to implement this policy and reform in curriculum, reform in pedagogy, reform in assessment. That is the need of hour. That is why now we'll come out with national curriculum framework. We'll come out with the national curriculum framework for school education, for early childhood care and education. So first time that there will be one national curriculum framework for early childhood education and care. Then one national curriculum framework for teacher education, one national curriculum framework for adult education. So we expect all these in our teacher education program. So I think this will bring about a change in the entire teaching learning process. And now this is high time. This policy should be implemented, particularly from pedagogical point of view. We have to be a little careful, because we all are dealing with the preparation of teachers. And when we are preparing teacher, we should prepare teacher in such a way who will have very positive attitude towards this profession, and who will take care of the all-round development of our children, will help them in the development of all their innate potentialities, and that will bring about a change in the entire teaching learning process. So this is the briefly I have presented, and I think I have taken around 40 minutes. So now I don't want to say anything more on this. Anything you want to ask, any suggestion, any query you want to clarify, you can ask. Thank you.
गुड इवनिंग सर।
Good evening.
सर एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाह रही थी सर, इस नई शिक्षा नीति में शिक्षा के जो रियल स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं उनको आप क्या सेंटर स्टेज में देखते हैं?
Real stakeholder is the child. Who is the real stakeholder from your point of view?
सर चाइल्ड
Okay.
के साथ उनके पेरेंट्स भी और टीचर भी, तो क्या नई शिक्षा नीति जो है उसमें इन सभी के लिए, इन सभी को ध्यान में रख के सारी बातें कही गई हैं?
Definitely, because this education policy, will see it talks about a lot of community involvement. Because ultimately, if community is not involved, if parents are not involved, then nothing will happen. Only teacher cannot bring about change. Teacher will teach inside the classroom. Teacher all the time. The children will be with their parents in their family. So everybody should join hands together to bring about change. And ultimately, what we want? We want that our children, what potentiality they have, what creative potential they have, that should develop to its maximum extent. And that is why right type of exposure should be given to our children, not only inside the school, but also in our home, at our home. When they are at home, they should also get right type of environment. And our teachers should, our parents also should deal with their children in a very friendly manner and provide very conducive environment. In the same way, teacher also should provide a conducive environment. They should feel, yes, I am important. We should not follow the deficit model to find out what our children do not know. We should follow the strength model, what our children know, what they can do, what they can contribute, what type of potentiality they have. If they are good in sports, we should encourage them to participate in sports. If they're good in music, then we should provide that opportunity to our children. We should not say that no, this is mathematics is important, science is important. Every time you go on reading that, go on studying that is not going to serve the purpose. If our children are not having aptitude toward that particular subject, that particular area, we should not force our children to do that. Let our children do something as per their choice. That is why many vocational skills will be introduced, and they can do something as per their choice, and anything they can select because lot of flexibility will be introduced.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
सर
you. Yes.
प्रणाम सर।
हाँ कल्पतरु बोलो।
हाँ सर, अभी जो नया नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी आया है 2020 में, न्यू पेडागोजी जो हो रहा है, तो आई थिंक इज देयर एनी प्लानिंग फॉर एनसीईआरटी टू ऑर्गेनाइज एनी वर्कशॉप फॉर टीचर एडुकेटर्स रिगार्डिंग दिस न्यू पेडागोजी with relevant to national education policy 2020?
Yes, NCERT will conduct many teacher training program, not only for teachers but also teacher educators, to
Yes, sir.
disseminate this policy, to disseminate the national curriculum framework, and also to take suggestion from the teachers and teacher educators how to develop this national curriculum framework. And we are planning for that now. We'll initiate, and very certainly this program will be initiated. Definitely we'll take care of it.
Okay, okay. Pranam sir, pranam.
सर
Yes.
सर मैं डॉक्टर शमीमा हुसैन, सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ गुजरात, गांधीनगर से।
Okay.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है कि जब 1 ईयर बीएड और 1 ईयर एमएड हुआ करता था, हम लोगों ने जब किया 1 ईयर बीएड 1 ईयर एमएड, तो सर एमएड में एडमिशन के लिए क्यू में वेटिंग में स्टूडेंट्स होते थे। बट सर जैसे ही 2 ईयर बीएड हुआ, 2 ईयर एमएड हुआ, तो बीएड में तो कुछ स्टूडेंट्स मिल जाते हैं, बट सर एमएड में तो स्टूडेंट ही गायब है। सर किसी कॉलेज में 2, किसी में 3, मुश्किल से 10 या 15 स्टूडेंट्स अच्छे रेप्यूटेड कॉलेजेस में हमें मिलते हैं, या यूनिवर्सिटी डिपार्टमेंट में भी यही कंडीशन है सर। और सर अब आ रहा है इंटीग्रेटेड बीएड और एमएड प्रोग्राम, तो सर स्टूडेंट्स उसमें एनरोल होंगे, क्या चांसेस है, या सर इसका सॉल्यूशन अगर कुछ हो कि हम स्टूडेंट को कैसे अट्रैक्ट करें इन प्रोग्राम्स के लिए सर?
ऑल ओवर द कंट्री आपको मालूम है टीचर एजुकेशन का हालत क्या है। अभी जो है मोस्ट ऑफ द टीचर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस आर क्लोज्ड, and the teacher educators are not getting salary, and there is no job opportunity. Students are not coming, and when there will be job opportunity and when they will get their due as per their entitlement, definitely there will be demand. If the demand supply, if there is no need, nobody will come. But now in this policy, lot of importance is given to the teachers, and it is talking about the scholarship for the students who will join this integrated program. And when there will be scholarship, there will be lot of job opportunity, and the quality of program will be better as compared to the previous one. Then definitely there will be demand and there will be supply, and more students will come. It is not a question of 1 year or 2 years. It is the question how we are going to prepare. When 1 year BEd was there, we are not able to provide enough time for students to do their internship. That ultimately in teacher education institutions, our students should develop the basic skills and competency, how to transact, how to deal with others, and how to develop the competency of the students. And we are not able to do that. We are not giving them the right type of exposure. That is why we thought if there will be 2 year BEd, then there will be improvement. And now it is found in 4 year, it is better because there will be more pedagogy, technology integration, more content pedagogy integration. There will be better opportunity, and we have experimented that in our RIs. A better environment is provided, better that well qualified teacher educators with good salary, and everything is conducive, then definitely there will be change. Of course, it will take time. India is a huge country, a lot of problem, a lot of diversity, variations, and we have to take care of this. But idea is good. The question is how we are going to implement it in our universities, in our teacher education institution. it depends on that. Thank you.